it is still early. We got the NFL preseason going on, but it's never too soon to start looking ahead to the playoffs, because that's what we do here at HQ. Which teams are showing early signs of dominance? Who could surprise us down the stretch? It is time for Danny Kanell's playoff predictions. Welcome back, Danny Kanell himself. We're going to start in the NFC. We're going to kind of break this down. And first up, we're going to talk about the Niners. Do you see them bouncing back to win the NFC West this year? What's your take?
I do have them coming back out of the NFC West. I think this is a organization that has a winning coach, a winning general manager, and a winning group of players when they are healthy. And that is the key part for the 49ers coming back. I think their defense will be better this year. I think you do see Brock Purdy step into his role as the franchise quarterback. It's an old colleague of mine. Brock Purdy will step into his role now as this newly minted franchise quarterback without that question mark of the offseason. Is he going to be the franchise guy? I think he's established himself as a perennial top 10 quarterback in the NFL. He's been consistent. I know there's some question marks. What does he do when some of his weapons aren't there? But I think Kyle Shanahan's one of the best minds in the game. I think they'll be right there. Okay. Plus, the division isn't exactly littered with great competition either.
I want to ask about the Eagles, because I think there's a lot of people that are wondering if they have the potential to go back-to-back. A lot of people think that they do. You, though? Not so high on that?
So I am fading the repeat, not only the repeat of the Super Bowl championship, but fading the repeat of the NFC East division title, because it hasn't been done since 2001.
That doesn't mean it can't be done.
I know, and the last time that did it was the Eagles, but I am a believer in Jayden Daniels and the Washington Commanders have done to give him the support that he needs to kind of come up there, added along the offensive line. I think he is a superstar in the making. I really liked him out of college. I was a little bit higher on Drake May coming out of college, but he has made me look foolish for thinking that for any bit of time. And I do think one of the hardest things to do in sports is repeat of anything, like a repeat title of any type. And I know the division isn't the NFL and it's not the Super Bowl, but I do think it is hard to replicate the hunger that comes with that chip on the shoulder. And I know that Jalen Hurts brings a tremendous amount of leadership and he says all the right things, but I do wonder if they can bounce it back. I do have them getting into the playoffs as a wild card, but I do have the Commanders stepping up in that division.
Okay, so you're concerned about repeating success, right? But there's no concern when it comes to Jayden Daniels repeating success after that freshman?
No, because he's got another level of success to go to.
No, second-year sophomore slump situation? No?
I do, and there are some other quarterbacks that I did not have in the playoffs that I do have a second-year slump potentially coming for them. But I do think Jayden Daniels, he seemed, and I was bullish on C.J. Stroud. Now, I didn't see him getting sacked as many times as he did, and I thought that was a big reason. Some of the offensive line issues that they had for the Texans, I don't see that happening with the Commanders, but I think Jayden Daniels is going to take that step forward. And Pete Prisco will always remind you, once there's a year of tape, they're going to study it, and they're going to try to take away what you do best. There will definitely be a learning curve, and Jayden will have to adjust on the fly and see what defensive coordinators will throw at him, because it will be different than what they tried last year in his rookie season, but I think he's up to the challenge.
He's adjusted on the fly before, starting over at new programs in college as well. Let's talk about the Lions. Do you think they can capture that #1 seed again, make a real run to the Super Bowl this year?
I do. I really think, and this is that kind of the team that I feel like is knocking on the door, and they just need that kind of burst through moment to get through. I love the culture that Dan Campbell has built there. It's a very physical team, and they kind of take on the mantra of their city. Like Detroit is a hard-nosed, tough city. They almost embrace that. So I do have them going back-to-back. Jared Goff, I think, is probably one of the most underrated, disrespected quarterbacks. I think he's finally starting to get some love. Last year, some people were starting to take notice of the type of season that he had, and they bring back a lot of the support that comes around him with a great running backfield. They brought back Amon-Ra St. Brown, keep him happy. He's got some weapons to throw to at the tight end position, too. So I do think, and on the defensive side of the ball, I think the Lions are going to be right back there knocking on the door again.
Knock, knock, knock. Okay, we're going to knock on the door of the AFC now. And first up, Aaron Rodgers, the Steelers. How do you see them fitting into this picture?
So I think they're going to sneak in. I think the Steelers are. You see them there as the 6th seed right there, as a wild card. They have had really bad quarterback play, stating the obvious. I know Russ kind of gave them a little bit of a floor there, but even then there were some people frustrated. It wasn't Justin Fields. But before that, it was Kenny Pickett, who we mentioned. It has just been very lackluster. And I do think Aaron Rodgers showed me enough on the back end of last year, some vintage Aaron Rodgers, that he's still got a little bit left in him. I think he's playing with, kind of house money at this point. It's a lot of house money to have, too, Jenny. But I do think this is a culture that he can go into and step into an organization which has always been a perennial winner under Mike Tomlin, and I do think his steady hand gives them that ability to get to those playoffs.
I feel like people have no idea what to expect out of Aaron Rodgers this year. It's like he can either make the Super Bowl or just be terrible.
I don't think they'll be terrible. I think he gives them a higher floor than they were last year with Russell Wilson, so I think they get much improved quarterback play, and they'll take that next step.
What about the Jags? A lot of changes over there. We got the new head coach in Liam Cohen. Can they take the AFC South, make a real playoff run?
This was one, Jenny, for me, where I was a little bit chalky, and I wanted to go a little bit off the radar, and so I had the Jags in there. They're not favored to win it. The Texans, we just talked about C.J. Stroud, the sophomore slump that he had. I love the Travis Hunter move. I think he is a super special player. It's a lot to ask for him to come in and make a huge impact, especially when you're asking him to do it on both sides of the ball. But I think this is a huge year for Trevor Lawrence. I do think Liam Cohen is somebody who's had a track record now of really maximizing the quarterbacks that he's worked with, going back all the way his time at college to his time with the Bucs and Baker Mayfield. I think he takes that step forward. I think Trevor Lawrence healthy is huge, and a division that looks very open. I think it's Jacksonville's for the taking.
I like that move. Got to ask about the Chiefs. Everyone wants to know what's going to happen with Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and Tay-Tay. So what's going on in your mind when it comes to the Chiefs this year?
Do you want to know if they're getting married, or do you want to know, which part do you want to talk about?
Yeah, are they getting married?
Yeah, they're definitely getting married.
Oh,
yeah, it's coming down the road. It's going to be like on her album release.
That would be something.
It's going to be like the last song on the record. But for the Chiefs, this is crazy because it feels like they've fallen off already, and then you go look at them last year, and you look at their record, and you're like, there wasn't any drop-off, and it's hard to erase the memory of that Super Bowl loss to the Eagles last year out of my mind. It looked like something was completely off with this team, and it's hard for me to say this because I still have them getting to the playoffs, but I don't have them going to a conference championship, which would be the first time that Patrick Mahomes would even experience this in his life. I do worry somewhat about them failing to get that big play capability they've still been searching for since Tyreek Hill left. I do worry about Travis Kelce, another year older. I don't think he's the top tight end in the league. I think he's probably dropped to that top 5 tight end, which is still great for him to do that at his age. But I just don't think they're that unstoppable force. They have that intimidation factor that they've had, on their side. They still have Patrick Mahomes, and he's still incredible. I just wonder how many times they can keep running it back to the conference championship game. So this year, I'm going to say they miss it.
The Bills have their number?
Yeah, I think the Bills could get him. I think there's several teams that could get him, but the Bills are absolutely one of them that could knock them out of their seat in the playoffs.
Okay, so that means they were not going to be in the Super Bowl. Is Taylor Swift performing at this year's Super Bowl?
Did you see all the hidden gems? Did you see the Easter eggs? Yeah, I saw them too.
Sourdough Sam.
I know. That's why they have to get to the playoffs so she doesn't cancel. They have to at least have her have the hope that she's going to be in the Super Bowl. Yes.
I feel like we did Jacqueline D'Agostino well in that segment, but we are going to move on and talk about fringe teams. So let's discuss the Broncos here. Bo Nix, the Broncos, they seemed poised for a playoff push, but you're not so high on them?
So this is the team I was talking about when I said sophomore slumps. I still really like Bo Nix and the moves he's made, and Sean Payton has fully given him his endorsement, even a few weeks ago saying, hey, I think he can be a top 5 quarterback in the league, which maybe he will one day. But I think the thing that caught the NFL by surprise was actually his ability to run the football and tuck it down. I think a lot of people, saw that and were pretty surprised by it. He was able to take some defenses by surprise. I think this is the most likely, because you will see it happen to some of these quarterbacks that are younger. You heard me saying Jayden Daniels, I don't think you see a drop-off there. I think Bo Nix could have that year where they take away some of the stuff that he's getting the football out of his hands. He's making quick decisions, which is fantastic. But I would have liked them to give him a little bit more around him. They really didn't add many pieces on the offensive side of the ball and just trusted that offense to sort of run it back the way it was. I think this could be a year where it's still a good season for Bo Nix, but not enough for the Broncos to make a playoff spot with a very crowded division.
We've been talking a lot about the Texans and C.J. Stroud, so break this down a little bit deeper for us. Why do you have them on that fringe level, and what are the expectations there?
I want to see if they protect him. I mean, he got sacked over 50 times last year. It was one of the worst, offensive line performances that we've seen, and without, some of the pieces on the outside, he lost a couple guys to injury. That becomes an issue too. At some point, when you are a franchise quarterback, you have to be able to raise up everyone around you, even if it's your best friend. I mean, Tank Dell goes down, it's a big, big deal, and you lose a big piece of production. win, but you've got to be able to elevate everyone else out there. Now, I do think it's great they've got him back and they're going to be healthy again, but I do think this could be another kind of year for C.J. Stroud to take a step forward. I love his upside. I love what he's there, but I need to see the Houston Texans do a better job protecting up front before I say, all right, he's just going to be back in that MVP conversation, which he kind of was his rookie season.
That's fair. All right. Last but not least, we got to look ahead to the Super Bowl. Who do you like at the end, and who's going to be your pick to win?
So I mentioned the Lions having that breakthrough moment, which I do think getting to the Super Bowl would be that huge breakthrough moment. But talk about breakthroughs, somebody who I think needs it more than anybody in the NFL. Give me Lamar Jackson. Give me the Ravens. Give me Derrick Henry. That backfield is so unstoppable. John Harbaugh, looking for another Super Bowl championship. I've got the Ravens over the Lions in the Super Bowl. I'm going to give it to them getting it done. Lamar Jackson finally silences his postseason critics that say he can't get it done. I will say it's a part of the process. It's how you get elevated and judged against the greatest of all time. How you play in the postseason. I think he silences them this year.
It might be their year. We'll just wait and see. That's what makes sports fun. Danny Kanell, I appreciate the Taylor Swift deep
I'm
dive.
Up on it too.
As well.
I know what's going on.
I mean, you have daughters, so
yes,
you're in on it. Stay informed with everything you need to know on CBS Sports HQ. We got breaking news, in-depth analysis, including Taylor Swift. All the highlights you can want and need 24/7. We have you covered. Scan that QR code and watch us streaming live all day long.